Howdy everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is some day between Christmas and New Year's Eve. We're not sure what day it is. We're not sure what time it is. We know what we're doing today, and that is watching the second part of Cosplay Melee episode 1, season 1, because last video all I did was do a deep dive on our 4 contestants for this episode, and it was so much fun. But this time we're actually gonna dive into the episode, watch the shenanigans unfold, learn some new cosplay tricks and techniques. Let's get started on Cosplay Melee, episode 1, season 1, part 2. Yvette tells the cosplayers that they are going to create an original character, a full backstory, and a cosplay that completes the character.
You will have full access to our workroom, featuring all the equipment and materials you could ever dream of. But only one of you will take home the $10,000 prize. Exciting?
Yes.
All right. Now it's time to find out your theme. Whether you're from a galaxy far, far away, or space is your final frontier, your theme this episode is space opera! Yes!
Nozzle. Yes.
Space operas from Star Wars to Guardians of the Galaxy to Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek inspire cosplayers to create out-of-this-world costumes.
That is the best theme. I am so excited.
Space opera could not be more up my alley. This is gonna be tight.
You must create an original costume and character inspired by your favorite space opera.
We saw in my last video that Fred and Xavier are already Star Wars cosplayers. I'm not sure if Grace had done a Star Wars cosplay in the past, but she had done some incredible big builds by the time she did this show. But Alicia, straight off the bat, says this is not her thing.
I normally don't do space opera costumes. That's super scary for me.
Okay, for round 1, you'll have to start from the top by creating a custom headdress for your character. Whether it's a helmet, a mask, or an actual headdress, the design must be original and in the style of your chosen franchise. The judges and I will pick one of you to gain an advantage, and unfortunately, one of you will be eliminated from Cosplay Melee.
Not gonna be me.
You only have 8 hours to complete your task.
Can I be for real for a second? 8 hours working on cosplay with 3 other creatives in a room, also working on cosplay. I would be a victim of the Hawthorne effect. That's shadowing at its finest. That is a dream scenario for me. I would be Catwoman, making her costume in one night. I'm gonna run through everyone's character and costume concepts so we can get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Alicia is making a character based off of Chronicles of Riddick because she feels their medieval armor in space is more of her taste. Fred is making a character within the Star Trek universe. Xavier is making a crime lord OC from Star Wars. And my queen Grace is making a bounty hunter from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now we get into the good stuff. The cosplayers talk about their crafting techniques. Grace discloses that she usually draws out a pattern on paper and then transfers it to foam, but with the time restraint, she's just transferring it to foam. No beta, we die like Gamora. However, I did see she had a few small pattern pieces on her work table in this frame here. Let's keep in mind what they look like and what part of her final helmet they might be for.
A burn tool to try to create an indent or a bevel in the foam. Sanding out these grooves, you can get a little more cleaner of a look. My goal here is to make a beautiful sculptural piece. So I use this thing called Worbla, which is a thermoplastic that's smoother and it's a lot easier to finish than foam. I'm heating it all up, sandwiching it over craft foam. And now I'm gonna use the popsicle stick to get nice and close. That way, it gets a really good bond to each other, and when I cut it, I'll get a cleaner seam. I'm in a good place, but the biggest worry that I'm dealing with right now is time.
Let's pause for a second. I've never used a heat knife on foam before. I've only ever used it on Worbla. I put in this clip of Alicia explaining what Worbla is because you're probably gonna hear that word a lot in this series, and she explains it perfectly. However, I think she's the only one out of the 4 of them that actually used Worbla in her prop accessory for this challenge. I think the rest of them use foam exclusively. I love this image of her holding a bundle of Worbla because that is easily like $300 worth of Worbla. in 2017. But there's a scene right here where a bit of foam is peering out from underneath her headpiece, meaning while Alicia was trimming the Warbler, she didn't allow for enough seam allowance. Warbler can be very fickle when it is heated up. It can tear, but it can be an easy fix, especially because her character concept is supposed to be like a medieval knight from space. Alicia can easily make it look like it was wielded together with some scrap Warbler and some cool painting technique. Jumping to Xavier, we briefly did see that he started drafting his prop pattern on paper. And I gotta show you this technique that he uses and why a toaster oven has been on my Amazon wish list since.
I'm heating up all my helmet parts. I heat the pieces up so that way I can form them and it'll be easier to make a dome. But it's not working.
Usually I'll use an oven to heat up my pieces, but I don't have one. Never mind. I have an oven.
I'm usually working with a larger oven, but this small toaster oven will work just fine for the little pieces that I need to do, especially since it's a helmet. I'm done with the basic shape of the helmet. I just need to make sure that I stay focused and get the little details done.
Xavier claims that in the cosplay community, he is known for his costume details. And being a Star Wars lover, a Star Wars costumer, you cannot escape the 501st, the Rebel Legion, the Mandos, and their love for perfect and screen-accurate costumes. Maybe that's where he gets it. But he hopes that his eye for detail will separate him from the pack. That's all I'm going to say on Xavier right now until we get to the judging portion, because his helmet looks really sturdy, and I attribute that to him working with what I assume is floor mats. Unlike Grace and what she's rocking with. It looks like Grace is using 4mm foam and 4mm foam exclusively, which would come in clutch for the intricate designs that she wants to do on the side of her helmet. But for the base of her helmet, I really wish she would have used a thicker foam, especially in this scene, where her visor is looking a little dented. Grace pulls through though and does this amazing cosplay painting technique where she makes her helmet look like paint has been chipped off. Paint has been chipped off of her helmet, which is actually made of foam, and I wish we would have seen her and how she did that. Homegirl really said, "I've cosplayed enough from post-apocalyptic video games. Hold my Nuka-Cola. We're gonna make this rusty and worn." Last we saw of Alicia, she was sitting pretty, like nearly finished with her headdress. But then she does this.
I use this thing called Bondo Spot Putty. It is normally used on cars, but if I coat my whole piece with it, I get this awesome smooth surface, and then I can paint it so that it looks like metal. One problem, there is less than 1 hour left, and Bondo takes about 20 minutes to dry.
We have 45 minutes left.
I feel she found herself with time left on the clock, needing to basically paint the thing. And instead of making the back of the headdress make sense, she thought, I'll just tie the back, because I can't defy gravity. I'll just tie it in the back, secure it to my head, and do some more nonsense to the front of it. And hey, adding more techniques to your cosplay can score you more points with the judges, but I feel like she expected to be able to tie her headdress to the back of her head and then hide the tie with your hair, which doesn't happen. Let's talk about Frank, dog. In the editing, we finally get more than like 20 seconds with Frank, right before Grace and Xavier start painting their helmets, which makes me feel like he's behind in the process, but from the editing, you can see Grace still gluing pieces of her helmet together right behind Frank. Frank is making a respirator for his space helmet by heating up PVC pipe without a respirator. Frank's concept is giving me Bender from Futurama, which is ideal because Frank has already made a Bender cosplay at this point in his career. But he tries to make a dome-shaped headpiece for his prop by taking a foam head and putting what he says is foam, but I think it's Warbler, over it and heating it and trying to make a dome that way. Upon first watch, I thought that was a rookie mistake, but in hindsight, I think he was just trying to cut a corner because it is a timed event and just panicked and tried this technique that he hadn't tried before. Oh my god, I just kept calling him Frank. Oh, kill me! Okay, so 20 minutes left, it's down to the wire, and Fred decides to add LEDs to his helmet and a little handheld flashlight to use as his character's searchlight.
Damn it.
It's coming down to the wire.
Crap! Crap, crap, crap. Oh!
Bollocks. Excellent.
I don't think I've ever been this nervous in my life. The judges are gonna look at my piece, and I have no idea how they're gonna feel about it.
I'm worried the skull plates are the wrong shape. If this goes wrong, I go home. That's horrifying.
Intro to the judges.
She is a cosplay model and one of the biggest faces in the cosplay industry. And she'll be looking at how well you bring your character to life.
It's Leanna Bam.
Hi, everybody.
Sorry, not really sure who she is. Not familiar with her work. I now know who she is. I'm not familiar with her work. However, my bestie told me when he was a big avid cosplayer in the early to mid 2010s, she was really hot in the convention circuit scene, and he actually has an autographed print of her.
And he's created space costumes for sci-fi films from Tron Legacy to J.J. Abrams' Star Trek and The Hunger Games.
His focus is construction.
Costume creator Christian Beckman. And Grace, you are up first. Come on down. Please tell us about the space opera you chose and tell us more about your character and the headpiece.
So I created a helmet for my character Polaris. It's really inspired from Guardians of the Galaxy. Polaris is a badass bounty hunter lady, and since she's hunting for her prey in the darkness of space, she has a cool thermo goggle thing that's installed in the helmet. And since she's named after a star, I decided to incorporate some elements of star rays, and I also made a detachable respirator.
All right, Christian, what do you think of what Grace has created?
I love the color, and I love how you have the metal coming through. It looks really battle-worn. On the earpiece, it's just feeling just a little too unfinished. It's not quite crisp enough. I also have that note on the top of the helmet itself. If you can get the shape a little bit cleaner.
Okay, Leanna, your thoughts?
Are you able to actually see out of it?
Nope.
Vision is very important.
Yeah.
You need to be able to walk down that runway in style, not fall off. I do love all of the details. I love the star rays coming off of the side. That respirator should be cleaned up a little bit, but overall, it's a great design.
Thank you.
I am blown away by how it literally looks like metal with paint peeling off. I think you did an amazing job. Thank you so much, honey. You can.
I didn't even notice that earpiece. Good on him for catching that. I mean, that is his job. And him and we both caught on that the top of the helmet, needed to have been built, in my opinion, with thicker foam. If you feel like there is a better technique, or if I'm wrong, please let me know down in the comments. I didn't even consider the eyepiece hole. Cosplayers are only given so many pieces of material. I wouldn't blame Grace if she didn't have a piece of acrylic or transparent Worbla to work with. You guys know I have seen this episode before, and I don't remember if she is able to get her hands on something clear to pop in her eye-seeing hole.
Fred, it's your turn. Come on down.
Okay.
Tell us about your character.
Okay, so this is the headpiece for Martin Cromwell, a character based on the Star Trek universe. He was very seriously injured in an assassination plot, but his surgeons quickly cobbled together a suit that is part cybernetics, part life support. So that's where this came from. This is literally just a flashlight that you would buy at a store, but when you turn it on and slide it back in, you've now got the flashlight.
I am digging the mask. It's handmade. It's got beautiful shape, a lot of nice detail. The respirator part looks like you've used some type of a grid or something there to make it look
It's carved into the foam.
That's a pretty clean hand you have there. The skull cap itself, though, it's pretty rough. And because the mask and everything else is so clean and so precise, unfortunately, it makes the helmet stick out a little more.
I love the exposed on the side, very futuristic. I love the electronics and the fact that you went and you did a simple thing with a flashlight that you can get at the dollar store, and it really packs a punch. If you can fix that dome, I think it would make it a more finished piece.
I can't believe I kept calling him Frank. How long was I doing that? Oh my God. We live in the same state too. So if he ever sees this, we ever see each other at a convention, I'm just gonna turn in my gun and badge.
My character's name is Anna, and she comes from the world of Chronicles of Riddick. She came from a planet that was sadly destroyed by the necromongers.
Oh.
So she lived the rest of her life trying to seek revenge. So this is my headpiece for her. I really wanted to make it look like the old metal that all of their armor really reflects.
Yeah, let's put it on.
Yeah, of course.
Leanna, what do you think?
It definitely feels like it would fit in the Chronicles of Riddick world. From here, it actually looks heavy. It looks like it has some substantial weight to it.
The metal feel, the metal look is done well. When you film this, it's gonna read metal. If you could turn around so you can see the back a little bit. I feel like this piece could use more in the back. You know, the string is not quite there.
Okay.
It's very elegant, it's very sleek, and it does look like metal. Thank you, hon.
Looking at this piece now with her wearing it, I would think that in order to hide those metal pieces, she would need a voluminous wig to make it work in order to hide it. Otherwise, I've never used Worbla on a project and then covered it in that putty before. On camera, it reads as metal.
Xavier, come on down and tell us about what you've created.
For my piece, I wanted to focus on Star Wars. My character's name is Siresh Vos. He grew up on Coruscant, made a name for himself as a crime lord. He likes to get in scuffles a lot.
So his helmet reflects that, gouges and nicks from metal weaponry.
I love the battle damage. I love the color scheme. I love the metal look. And then what's the symbol?
This is just some alien lettering that I put on the side. It's actually my initials.
I'm a Star Wars fan too. I'm reading a lot of that in there with the coloring and some of the angles, aging and battle scars, but I feel like there's a consistent thickness throughout of each metal piece. The whole piece is very symmetrical, so when you add a little bit of asymmetry, it's just gonna give it a little extra realism, a little different aesthetic.
Can you see out of that?
I think I can.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
That was fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you. You may join the others.
Be the only one to think that he went, I don't know if I can see out of it. Let me see. I am a Star Wars. No notes. The only thing that I was stoked about is when the male judge mentioned that he can like see the hardiness of his helmet because Xavier was the one who took that 1/2-inch foam and was like, we're making this for real. That helmet, you could throw it against the wall, you can kick it, it will not lose its shape, it will just bounce right back. Now we get to see who won the challenge and get to see the perks that they get later in this video. But right now, let's focus on who lost the challenge. Leave your guesses below if I haven't already made it obvious.
But we have decided on a winner of this challenge. And that winner is... Xavier. Congratulations. Xavier, we felt that your piece could go right from this set to the set of Star Wars.
I don't want to get cocky, but it feels amazing knowing that my cosplay stands out.
Now, only 3 of you can move forward to create full costumes and vie for the grand prize of $10,000. Unfortunately, one of you is going home. The cosplayer that has been eliminated is... Alicia. We absolutely loved your headdress. The only thing is that the back wasn't exactly finished and it was not a completed piece in the same way that the other pieces were completed.
I won't lie. I feel like my quality might have been a little higher than some of the other cosplayers.
Come on down here and give me some love.
But I'm gonna go home, make some more amazing and hopefully I can get an experience like this again.
I feel like it was a little inappropriate for Alicia to claim that her prop was higher quality than others because it's easy to say that when you only use 3 techniques and a piece of string. Maybe I feel like I can be bold and say that because she's not in the cosplay circuit anymore. I have less of a chance of running into her. However, if you remember my last episode, I do have a small fear of her being able to kick my because, you know.
Back. Popped lady up. Oh, bow and arrow in the ring ropes.
Professional wrestler. But I felt like her headpiece was too high fantasy compared to everyone else's helmet. You know? If I haven't said this before, I'll say it now. I've never seen a Riddick movie, but I've also never seen Lord of the Rings. And I felt like her headpiece would more be able to fit into that world, or the world of Willow, or Asgard, or Exandria, before space, the final frontier. You know? To wrap up this video, the next step in the competition is going to be making their characters fly.
Next to me are 3 distinct everyday items that you will need to use to create a flying apparatus. There's a leaf blower, muffler car parts, and some air conditioning duct.
And because Xavier won this challenge, he was able to pick first. He picks the leaf blower, Grace gets da, Frank gets da-da, everyone's happy. This is going to be it for me today for Cosplay Melee. Next time I see you, though, I promise we will finish out this episode, and we're going to see the amazing creations, the huge creations that these very talented cosplayers make. In the meantime, check out the things on each side of my shoulder. Please subscribe. I really want to get monetized one of these days, and I'll just see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.